I'm WP Marshall and I'm joined by Chris the WrongCat Warner.
Hello.
And we're going to play on a 5-planet system here today with a 3 versus 3 with devs and players from the community as well. Now having a look at this system here, we've got a whole bunch of variety of planets. We've got a metal planet here, which is going to be quite important later on into the game. We've got a desert planet where players can spawn in and get on the eco. We've got a moon as well, which can be launched into other planets. We've got a gas giant which can harvest a lot of resources from, and we've also got another lava planet over here.
We are now waiting for the players to spawn in. They have got a number of spawn locations in the top right hand corner where you could see it before it disappeared. They have a number of planets to choose from as to which they start, and let's see where they've gone.
Indeed, it looks as though one orange player has gone for lava. Let's have a look around the rest of the lava planet to see if anyone else has spawned there with him. Apparently it seems as though he is on his own, so he can really get a lot of economy here. Where all of these little green dots are, those are metal extraction points where you can get up your metal and your other resources, energy. And of course these are all streaming rather than stockpiled, so you have to balance your income against your expenditure.
And of course, if your expenditure begins to exceed your income, your efficiency in construction slows down, and you will build as slower as a result. Looking at the spawns, in fact, the rest of the players, aside from that fellow on the lava planet, everybody else is on that metal planet, and there's a very important reason why, isn't there?
Yes, there blooming well is. On the North Pole there, you see 5 blue dots. These indicate the points where you can build catalyst control nodes for the metal planet's super laser. The Annihilator.
Of course, that laser fires and it destroys entire planets. So here's hoping one of our teams can take control. It looks like the blue players have the northern hemisphere, which is obviously where those control points are. If they can turtle up and keep the orange players at bay, they can activate that laser and destroy the other planets.
That's going to be pretty important later on in the game, because if you let any other player get those lasers and leave them alone, then they have a pretty much unstoppable weapon.
Of course, one key feature of Planetary Annihilation is, of course, the fact that you are on multiple planets. So at the moment, we're probably going to see an awful lot of play on the ground here, but also players can build orbital launchers, fire stuff up into space, and travel between planets as well.
I don't yet see any orbital launches from the players, perhaps on the lava planet where the orange player has spawned over there so that he can get onto the other planets. Instead, what he's gone for is a teleporter, so what he can do is he can build a lot of factories and send units through the teleporters to his teammates over on the metal planet to reinforce their position. In fact, there was just an orange ping there that went off on the blue base. Let's have a look at what the orange player can see, because they have just scouted that blue spawn on the North Pole.
It's important to note that the players don't know at the start of the game where their opponents are, so it's very important early in the game to scout early and try and find out where all of your opponents are. The player on the lava planet, I don't believe, has scouted very much at all so far. I don't see any scout planes or scout vehicles having been built yet, so he is not necessarily aware that he's all alone, unless of course they have scouted all 3 of the blue players on the metal planet, which may have happened already. Have you checked that one, Marshall?
I'm looking from the orange player's perspective, and currently they can only see one of the blue spawn locations. In fact, they've just managed to scout the one on the South Pole. They do not actually see the other North Pole spawn. Going back into the full view there, you can see where that spawn is, that is secretive away from the orange player. Now, blue are just getting out some fireflies, which are these air scout units that you build from the air factory. Another ping went off there from orange, I suspect, showing, yep, there's a commander down here, folks. Let's go and take him out.
Of course, once the extra orange player realizes that he's all alone on that planet, his playstyle will change completely, because obviously you have to defend yourselves when you're fighting opponents. If he has his planet all to himself, he can just expand exponentially. Expansion is very, very important in this game. You can only extract metal from those little green blips you see there, metal deposits on the ground. That's the only place you can extract metal from. So you need to expand rapidly, and if you can do so unchecked, and you know there's going to be no one here trying to stop you, you can do so very fast.
You say that that's not the only place to get metal from, because of course there's this gas giant here, and of course players can use the orbital fabricators to head over here and build these things called jigs, which are orbital platforms which reach down to the surface and start sucking up metal and energy. Quite a lot of metal and even more energy, so it'll really be a massive boost to the economy if players can secure that location.
That was recently added to the game. In fact, I think it was about a day before PAX itself. That
It's
and the
new feature.
That and the planetary laser as well. Brand new features, for release, which is next week, I believe.
Indeed it is, September the 5th. Now, having a look back on the Metal Planet here, we can see the Orange players beginning to get a few clumps of forces together with a whole bunch of tanks there. Little engagements between a few tanks and fabricators here, taking out a good few fathers, which is a really good early game harassment there, which means that that blue player can no longer expand to those metal points and get extra economy.
And of course, the extra economy is useful because you need more economy to build more. A Planetary Annihilation is all about scale. More is always better, absolutely always. So the more economy you have, the more units you can produce. Why produce one when you can produce 100?
Exactly, and not only that, but never be satisfied that you have enough. There is always more to be had, and as you say, more is always better.
So at the moment, I think all of the players on the Metal Planet playing fairly conservatively. It is a big planet, which does mean that they've got a bit more room to maneuver. Rather than going straight for the throat and harassing very, very early on, they seem to be collecting forces and trying to deliver more decisive blows with their engagements. With that said, we can see a small force of tanks coming here towards this exposed Orange commander. There's not enough there to kill him, I don't think, but certainly enough to make him panic a little bit, and that can do damage, which is very difficult to repair.
Indeed it is. The commander is basically your king piece. You do not want to lose him, but what we have here is we have 3 versus 3, and not only that, but this is actually a shared army scenario, so any of each team's players can control any of the other units on that team. However, if you lose all 3 commanders on your team, you are out.
So the objective of each team is to eliminate the enemy commanders while at the same time protecting their own. And Orange at the moment not playing very conservatively with this commander as well. That's an Uber Cannon. That's the commander's special ability which you can activate as a player, and that does a huge deal of damage over an area, which you just saw there. Took out a swathe of tanks. Look at that, another one there.
Yeah, it's really good early game defensive unit as the commander. Not only that, but he can also build quite a bit faster than fabricators, and he also delivers economy as well.
The commander is a very powerful unit, but he has to be used in the correct way.
Now we see here a teleporter from the Orange players. So what they can do now is they can link these 2 teleporters where they have a clump of army on the lava planet. In fact, there it is, the teleporter is linked. Now those vehicles can go through. However, the teleporter is only linked as long as you have the energy to support it. And they're a bit delinked because in the top left you can see the economy tab. Their energy has gone into the red, which means they have depleted their reserves by spending much more than they are getting in for far too long.
And on the other side of the Metal Planet, that Orange commander that we saw earlier taking hits from those tanks actually had a very successful bombing raid come over his head. It's further depleted his health. He's being whittled down here. They need to play a lot more conservatively with this commander because he is taking far too much damage this early in the game.
Indeed he is, and those Infernos there at the front can take quite a bit of damage, and if they get too close, they have a really short-range weapon, but it does a lot of damage. They're breaking off to do a little bit of damage to the economy structures as the commander gets circled in by those tanks. He is going to manage to successfully fight these off with the Uber Cannon and his bomber support, but that is even more health lost from that commander.
Blue are amassing bombers. Here comes another bombing run. This could be enough to potentially kill this commander. He's on very low health at the moment.
Indeed, here they come from afar. Let's get down and see what they can actually do.
There they come
over the horizon.
There are some Kestrels in there as well, which are gunships, which means this is
really
a sustained damage. He's going to probably pop. No, he's got anti-air.
Oh, wow, he had a good little bit of anti-air there to support. The commander has a really powerful anti-air weapon, so unless you have a significant amount of air force, he can actually survive quite a bit.
Yes, he can.
He's a big, beefy weapon, and he's supposed to be a challenge to kill.
I panicked a bit there.
You did indeed, somewhat prematurely. However, back on the North Pole in the middle of the blue base, we have a whole bunch of Orange units coming in, taking a little bit of damage there. Not quite killing off any factories yet. In fact, they killed off 2 just to the south, but there's a large force of blue tanks there going to fight them away. And in fact, they've even got a level 3 turret there with walls going up as well, with a whole bunch of fabricators to fight off that Orange force.
No need to switch across. I've just had a little look at the lava planet though. They've built up a significant amount of economy there, which is going to really boss. And you can see in the top left, in fact, the economy of the Orange team versus the Blue team is nearly double. They are able to build things twice as fast as their Blue opponents, which is giving them a massive advantage in these engagements.
They can only build twice as fast as long as they have the fabricators to do so. The greater your economy is only so good if you actually have each fabricator has a constant build rate, and you can use those to assist nukes, factories, or even other fabricators or power generators or what have you.
In the top left, in fact, you can see, just as an example, the blue number indicates that they are floating, which means they are producing more than they have capacity for in their storage, and it is being wasted. For energy, that's not such a bad thing, because energy is a resource which you need to really have in storage at all times. For metal, however, it's generally not advised to float as much as you can, because it's wasted. Once it's gone, it's gone.
Indeed. What we can see on screen here is a few orange units getting stuck on the choke point crossings across this trench here as blue units attempt to take them out, but there are just too many orange units there for the blue units to handle. So orange now can move over into the middle of blue's base. However, there is this little turret wall in here that the orange units are going to want to move and circumnavigate north, because of course, don't forget, on Planetary Annihilation you are on planets, not on flat maps, so you have a full 360 degrees of approach. So if you find a wall, you can go around it.
360 degrees of carnage.
Indeed.
That's a lot of
turrets.
That's a lot of
turrets. That's a really large amount of turrets, but the Inferno's getting close.
They've committed a lot of bill power to that. But still, those units streaming through here, these Infernos are absolutely lethal if they're getting close enough. The turrets also struggle to deal with units at such close ranges, so by able to swarm that, they have managed to completely overwhelm it, although they have been
just heard a commander explosion.
Oh, did you?
Sorry about that. Yes, I did, over in the orange base there. Let's use Chronocam, which is a really cool feature in Planetary Annihilation. Spectating or playing, you can bring up this Chronocam feature, wind back any amount of time you want if you missed something. You can speed up as well, just in case, and you can see that commander there getting encircled, and down he goes.
Meanwhile, back in real time, we have some forces approaching a blue commander who's just completed a teleporter, which is probably going to be destroyed before he gets a chance to use it. Some Inferno's coming in there. Again, you do not want your commander to get anywhere near those things. He's rushing for the teleporter. He's going to try and get through before the Infernos catch it. You've got bombers there killing off the Infernos. He's managed to make it through by a whisker.
There it goes. That teleporter is not long for this world, but those bombers putting in really good work to defend the rest of that blue base. I wonder where that blue commander went. Did he go elsewhere on the planet, or did he go to a different one? It doesn't look as though he's elsewhere on the planet, so let's have a look around the system. On the desert planet, we can see that that is where he arrived. So what you can do is you can send these orbital fabbers through space, and they can build teleporters or orbital factories or anchors, which are laser turrets in the orbital layer, which can shoot down at the floor and or other orbital units as well. So they're really good defensive structures.
I think this would be a good opportunity to showcase the picture-in-picture. So we can keep an eye on this orbital layer, because there's lots going on now, and it's starting to take place off of this metal planet.
Indeed, so let's center on the gas giant there. Zoom out a bit more so we can see constantly what is going on in the orbital layer. Now, having a peek over at the moon, we can also see another blue teleporter just finished. It's not been linked yet, but what blue can do is they can put over some fabricators or even a commander onto this planet and really start doing something that is rather important in Planetary Annihilation. Do you want to explain that?
Well, in the top right-hand corner, hopefully Marshall can highlight that for you, you can probably see these two little pips next to the name of the planet. What that means is that you can build, in this case, two planetary engines which you can strap onto the side of this planet and send it smashing into any other planet in the system.
Pretty big damage that'll do if they do that. Will take a little bit of an investment though. Meanwhile, on the main metal planet, we've got a whole bunch of units taking out a lot of Orange's factories there. Good attack by blue there, taking Orange off guard while their forces are on the other side of the base. Elsewhere on the metal planet, we also have the orange spawn that had the commander explosion in it, getting swept up. It does still have a factory there, so it can still rebuild. Of course, they're all sharing, so nothing is out of the game until all three commanders are dead, and anything that is still alive can still be a threat.
I can still hear some shots being fired somewhere. Where's that army? I can't see it on mine.
That is over here on the metal planet. We've got a really small force of tanks going way out of their depth here, about to get taken out by gunships galore, plus bombers there as well. Really not good to send just the odd unit along, because in Planetary Annihilation, as we've already said, it's about hundreds of units. A single unit later in the game isn't going to do too much damage.
So let's have a little look. The blue have managed to move themselves relatively far south. Taking advantage of that sudden spawn, they actually do surround Orange, and Orange are actually trapped between the three blue bases on this planet. And they are making full use of that. Obviously, as you've said before, 360 degrees of carnage, bombing raid coming in here, trying to take out this little defensive line here. It's very difficult, although there are lots of choke points on these metal planets. which enable you to defend up a little easier than you would otherwise.
Bombers focusing down on the teleporter there, taking it down to really low health. Will they get a second pass? It looks as though they are going to be able to take that teleporter down. Orange can rebuild it, of course, but that was a really good move there, just delaying reinforcements from the Orange players' distant lava spawn.
That said, the Orange team do have this huge force of tanks just sat idle at the moment. That could be doing some fantastic work. That could probably, in fact, trample through any one of the 3 blue bases on this planet and take it completely out. Ideally, they want to try and find one with a commander in, because then we get some pretty fireworks.
What we see over here is an orbital launcher where Orange can now get orbital units into space. They have already done so on the lava planet. Let's have a quick peek over there at the lava planet just to show the orbital layer in action there. A lot of Avengers, and in fact they've just moved through the orbital mechanics there, so they are going to go and assist out on the metal planet, because obviously blue perhaps are getting a little bit of orbital control up there, which isn't particularly good for Orange.
The orbital is a very, very important layer. It's quite a difficult one to manage. Obviously, you've got the conventional ground and air layers, and you also have this orbital layer in Planetary Annihilation. There's lots of different things you can do with the orbital layer. In particular, you've got these Avengers. They sit there and fight. You have these anchors, which you can see built above the blue base. They actually shoot both into the orbital layer and down beneath them, so any units that get caught by that will get obliterated.
Indeed there will. We see that force of tanks from Orange now moving down towards the south blue spawn there, and unfortunately for blue there's not actually a lot of defense in that spawn, and in fact they've gone ahead and invested in a nuclear missile silo there with their commander and a couple of fabricators. I think there was a ping there from blue. Let's go to blue blue feature and have a look, because that's the radar pips there.
That's
they can
terrifying.
see a lot of nastiness coming their way.
I wouldn't be too happy about that, but they're sending out some bombers. Is there any anti-air in that force? No, there is not. These bombers are going to be able to just whittle this army down to a fraction of its former size before they even get anywhere near them, and they have some Kestrels in there, these gunships, which unabated without any anti-air whatsoever will do absolutely fantastic. Well, the Vanguard there in the middle there, the big brother of the Inferno, the short range, absolutely devastating cannon, but it's gone. They don't have that available to them anymore, and this army is slowly being whittled down.
Indeed it is. However, slowly isn't fast enough, as they now cross the trenches into the blue spawn. They're going to need to put up a few more defenses, because what they have currently is not going to cut the mustard, as the bombers just cannot take enough health of those Infernos fast enough.
There's a teleporter at the back there. The commander is making his way idly over to it. It's not linked up yet. They need to link that up and get that commander out of there. He's going, and he's being followed by a small Faber entourage.
Indeed, so it looks as though that blue spawn is going to go down momentarily there. Let's have a look at where that blue commander is off to. Perhaps it's off to the moon. Let's have a look in the picture-in-picture here, as Orange actually have got a presence on the moon there. No, he's not going to the moon. Must be over to the desert planet as well. Perhaps not.
Where's he gone?
Where's he
You've
gone
lost
indeed?
Him. You've lost him.
I'm sorry, I lost him.
We're actually seeing back on the metal planet.
Gone to the north spawn of the metal planet,
which is actually not the best location,
oh my
as
goodness.
you can see.
A lot of tanks moving in, both the North and the South Pole simultaneously. This is going to hurt for blue, as both of their main spawns are wiped off the planet. And now this is going to mean an even more dire situation going into late game for blue, because if they relinquish control of the metal planet to Orange, then Orange can start building those catalysts on the North Pole to use the super laser of the metal planet.
Yeah, the teleporter there has been taken out. That commander has got nowhere to go. These anchors just aren't enough. The heavy armor of those Vanguards can just sit there and absorb it. Now we're going to get to see the Vanguards using that amazing cannon on the front there. That commander is going to last not long at all. He's trying to run for the teleporter. He's not going to make it. And there goes that base.
Well, the base still stands, but not for very much longer, of course. Now blue down to, I believe, 2 commanders, if not 1 commander, perhaps, over on the desert planet over there.
I think blue still have 2 in the game.
They do still have 2.
I may be wrong. Maybe I missed one. We've already lost a commander so far.
Let's have a look down at the south spawn. They've got pretty much not very much of a base there whatsoever around the planet. They do still have the odd units there, but over on the desert planet they do have a commander still remaining, but not too much of the rest of the base there, which is a really big problem.
Now, I think the main contributing factor to this, if you look in the top left, we now see that the Orange Army has almost 5 times the economy of Blue. That is in large part down to their control of the lava planet, but we can also see that Orange have in fact expanded and managed to land on the gas giant, and they are constructing these jigs which are starting to draw in even more resources, as if they needed more.
Of course, more is always better, and you never have enough. So now if Blue do not contest this, Orange are going to have an even bigger backbone to their economy. And what they can really do now that they have sole control of the metal planet to a large extent, is get down those catalysts on those blue points on the North Pole to cause an utter planetary annihilation.
Those catalysts, of course, hugely expensive structures, but my goodness, does Orange have the economy for it. They're floating metal now. They just can't use all of it. They've got too much. They don't know what to do with it all.
Is the case. We do still have a little blue enclave in the North Pole of the metal planet there. No units really coming through. It looks as though, in fact, the units are retreating. Over on the moon, however, we do see that Orange and Blue have both started building over there, and they can build the engines. In fact, Blue have actually started on the engines with a significant amount of build power. What Blue could do if they rush ahead of Orange on this moon. Orange have pinged it, they have seen that is going on. They've got T2 bots over there as well going up, so they really need to contest this, and Blue need to be able to defend this, getting up their own advanced bots at the same time. That Haley is going up incredibly fast. Has the second one been queued? No, it hasn't. But Orange know exactly that that's what's going on. They're going to be sending units from afar to go and take that out and claim this moon for themselves to launch it at the Blue players.
Blue unfortunately scuppered themselves a bit. They've actually stalled on energy here, which is a significant disadvantage. They need to keep their intel up as much as they possibly can, especially with this Orange teleporter. They could stream units straight through. In fact, here they come. There's a Vanguard already. This is trouble. There are no military units here. Well, there were no military units until a second ago for Blue on this planet, which means this Halley is possibly not going to get completed in time. The second one, certainly.
And there's a nuke coming in from Orange as well.
Oh,
this
wow.
is insult to injury for the Blue player on the moon here. Houston, we do indeed have a problem. That Haley just gets completed. It's going to be very short-lived. Down it goes. Direct hit from the Orange player. And now they have the moon to themselves.
That is absolutely brutal. And they've got a lot of fabricators here and an advanced factory. Why don't they build some Halleys of their own?
That's a good suggestion. And if they had half a brain cell, they would do so as soon as possible.
That's rather insulting.
Oh, everyone has more than half a brain cell. I, for one, have 3/4 of a brain cell.
Excellent.
That's very good.
We've got another confrontation on the metal planet now. A huge stream of Orange units cascading into the last remaining bastion of the Blue army on the metal planet.
It's not looking good for the Blue at this situation, as they are pushed down back onto one planet only, as Orange do now control not only the metal but the lava and the moon as well. So Blue really have to pull something out of the bag here to do good in this game.
Yes, they have a bag right here. They have a nuke launcher under construction on PAX Prime.
Oh, they do.
Not a lot of build power on it yet. I suspect that'll change because they no longer have a Halley to try and build. So why not just put it all in there? And there you go, look at that.
That's a really good idea. As that nuke launcher goes up a little bit faster, we'll keep an eye on it. But meanwhile on the metal planet we've got artillery and all sorts going on, and that's a lot of air fabricators in the distance. It looks as though they might be trying to claim the catalysts on the metal planet.
Yes, that seems to be the favourite tactic, because obviously with the number of choke points on the metal planet, it's quite difficult for ground-based fabricators to get around and build them all. So what players tend to do is build an awful lot of air fabricators, and that gets those catalysts built extremely quickly, especially when you have got 5,500 metal per second. And we now
That's an incredible amount of economy.
We now see a global patrol here. This is one of the advanced features of a game of this scale. Of course, you need very advanced control features. This is an area command. To make all of these fighters do this, all the players had to do is click and drag in a circle around the planet, and all of these are now on a global patrol all around this metal planet, and they will completely eliminate any orbital units in that layer. At the moment, Blue has none, but this will prevent any incursions into their orbital space.
And of course the patrol is denoted by this sort of colouring here, that sort of bluey green shimmer, which you can do. And there's also area builds as well, area attacks, area reclaims, all sorts, just to make it so that there's less micromanagement, especially when you've got thousands and thousands of units in a single game.
Let's see how many units we do have. Have a look in the army tab here. How many mobile units, I should say, do Orange have?
Quite a few. I'm going to say many, because The count actually counts buildings as well, whereas the mobile units over 1,400, which is an incredible amount, especially when you compare it to Blue's double figures.
This is not a game with a unit count in it, I should mention.
Oh, and hello.
A unit cap, rather.
We have 2 Haleys on the moon. The second one almost complete. Blue are going to have to answer this. Looks as though they're trying to rush down that nuke to launch at the Haleys, but it might just be a little bit too late, because Blue really haven't capitalized on the planet that they have left, whereas Orange have got all the other planets. And there are the 2 Haleys there. We might see the launch any second now. We'll see a Planetary Annihilation. They're going for a third one just to add insult to injury.
You're showing off, boys. You're showing
off. Looking back at the metal planet, perhaps they are going for the catalyst. There's the launch there. Let's go back to the PAX Prime there. As the moon sweeps in for an annihilation, this is going to hurt Blue and probably knock them out of the game, as they only have 1 commander left. Here it comes.
Ruh-roh, says Metabolical.
I said Houston, we had a problem earlier, but this is the problem.
This is a several million-ton problem, yes.
This is,
yeah. Well, they've changed the direction. They've moved it. They've changed the target, I think.
Nope. It is just circling around the planet to try and get it exactly where it wants to be. It misses the Blue base. That was a waste of a planet. How could you do that, Orange? Goodness me, Zaphod slapping Brad in the face for missing the commander with a planet. How is that possible? Oh, wow. Discontent among the masses over there. But of course, Orange do still have control of the metal planet. I think they realize now, okay, we used a moon. Let's hopefully not miss with a laser. Come on, guys, let's do this.
You can redeem yourself, Brad.
That was amazing. Oh, you know what? I feel like watching that again. Although it looks as though they're sending nukes in for a carpet nuke onto the Blue base. Oh my goodness, 1 gets anti-nuked, but 3 actually go around the wrong side of the... Have you not learned a thing, Brad? Goodness me.
And this, ladies and gentlemen, is the importance of scouting.
Yes,
you must
if we
scout where you're... Oh.
If we look at Orange's point of view, they actually have no intelligence as to what's on this planet, so they are firing blind at this point in the game. Oh my goodness gravy.
On the metal planet, we now have construction of the catalyst using that immense economy of Orange's. They've put all of their build power. You see there, the air fabricators.
Woo! This is going to be a lot of pain for Blue, because of course the metal planet knows how to aim. Unfortunately, the same cannot be said for Brad.
Oh dear.
The second catalyst now under construction, as Blue are cowering on their water planet there. Well, I say it water, what used to be desert, but now there's a massive crater filled with water because, well, unfortunately the crater's not where the commander was, he was on the other side of the planet, but we have done that joke to death, as now the second catalyst is complete. Having a look there in the queues, we can see the other 3 are ready to build, so we shall see some pretty epic weapons of mass destruction momentarily.
I can see that there's some damage on one of those catalysts. What's damaging those?
That's a good question. I don't actually see what it was. Perhaps it was being reclaimed from orbit for a while.
That would seem that's a good tactic, that. But Blue, I think, panicking a little bit over there.
Panicking would be an understatement.
Intense discussions going on. How do we redeem this?
Yeah. They need to start nuking these catalysts so they can stay in the game just a little bit longer. Having a look at their nuclear missiles, though, they do have one being focused down there, but unfortunately, I suspect Orange have got anti-nukes all over the place. Looking around, they don't actually have anti-nukes all over the place.
I can see some Blue bombers. If we look on the South Pole, you see what Blue's been trying to do. They've actually been thwarted already, but what they've been trying to do is actually build some bombers to deal with these catalysts. I don't think they're quite going to manage it. The amount of build power on those is absolutely phenomenal. Yet somehow Orange still managing to float their metal. They're only using half of their metal income.
They are only using half of their metal income. If I go back to the economy tab in the top left, we can see they're all the blue numbers, meaning they are wasting their economy. It is exceeding their storage capacities. Back on the North Pole, however, the last catalyst is under construction. The Annihilator is about to be triggered, folks. Hopefully Brad will get it right this time and not miss the wrong planet.
Ladies
Lots
and gentlemen,
of nukes.
Would you like to see a planet being blasted by a gigantic death laser?
Oh, yes.
Yes? No? Oh, okay then, fine. We won't do it.
Well, that's up to Orange to decide as the final catalyst is activated. There is the planetary laser now. Let's go from the view of the desert planet there from afar. We can see the metal planet gonna fire from the distance. Hopefully we'll see that this doesn't actually miss.
That'd be something Brad would do. He'll have shot the lava planet, won't he?
Oh, goodness me. He'll have killed his own allies if he does that. In fact, what I haven't seen is a gas giant being completely destroyed. But as the planet now aims
There we go.
and triggers the laser momentarily for the finale of this amazing game, there it goes! Blue team is annihilated!
Well done, Orange. That was something. Swing and a miss a few times, but you got it in the end. Ladies and gentlemen, it's available for $25 at the booth on your right. That's $5 off the usual price. By all means, have a little look. We will be starting another game momentarily. If you want to see some more planet smashing action, stick around. Thank you very much.